I must be talking to just about one of the luckiest men I think I've ever met. Humphrey Bradley, who is the proud owner of this glorious Aston Martin Vanquish S with the appropriate number plate. And Humphrey, you actually won this car.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate. The history behind the car and this fleet of cars is that there were 10 cars made of the RAF Red Arrows edition. 9 of them were sold to collectors, and the 10th was gifted to the RAF Benevolent Fund, who raffled the car. They raised £1.5 million for the charity, sold 70,000 tickets, and I was fortunate enough, very fortunate, to pick out the winning ticket in December of last year.
So you've owned it for a little while now, enough to enjoy it and discover the nuances of it, because it is a spectacular motor car. I drove one of the earlier ones many years ago, and it remains one of my motoring and driving highlights, and I'm sure it is for you.
It is. It's a beautiful car. I was an Aston owner, in fact, before I won the car, having bought myself a Vanquish back in 2013 when I retired from the army. So that was my present to myself, thinking that I would never own another Aston Martin again. And as fate and luck would have it, I'm standing in front of this beautiful car now. You could only ever buy 9 of them. So each one was in the region of £275,000. But I've got this insured for a lot more.
Yeah, you were telling me that there's some quite spectacular features about this. Now, one of the things I noticed is the roof has got markings in the carbon fibre like a cockpit.
Yeah.
And you were telling me that it's actually the other way round if you sit inside it, and the headlining.
Yeah, the headlining is in effect what the pilot would see when he is in formation with the red arrows. So that's screen printed onto leather. On top of the roof, on top of the carbon fibre roof, because the car's entirely carbon fibre, is a transfer, is in effect a foil that was floated onto the carbon fibre roof on a thin film of water by a Q commissions department at Gaydon, and then lacquered over the top of it. That one feature took 3 days to do.
I wonder why Q commissions, clearly a very long Bond connection.
It's a Bond connection. So, and this is entirely a Bond created car. It's the last of the naturally aspirated V12 engines. Even Aston now has gone to twin turbochargers for the DB11 and the new Vanquish because of emissions control regulations. But you can't beat the DB11 and the new Vanquish come close, but you cannot beat that raw noise from a naturally aspirated V12 engine. I was lucky enough yesterday evening to be at the celebrations in Cardiff City Hall for the RAF 100 centenary celebrations, and we had a fly past by an Avro Lancaster with 4 Merlin engines, and standing beside me was Dr. Andy Palmer, who's CEO of Aston Martin, and we both looked at each other and said, naturally aspirated V12 engines, 4 of them in perfect harmony. It was just a joy to listen to, and it's very much like that with this car.
Yeah, this car, I was going to say, like that is with the Spitfire, the Hurricane, the Mustang, and of course the Lancaster. Once heard, never forgotten. They stay in the memory banks.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's a real joy.
Now, crunch me some numbers. We know 275,000, give or take a couple of bob. Top speed and 0 to 60, and you know,
okay, 0 to 60
the numbers everybody's going to ask.
Yeah, 0 to 62 is 3.5 seconds. Top speed in the region of 203 miles an hour. 595 brake horsepower. So those are pretty significant numbers.
They're pretty impressive numbers. Have you managed to get it on track yet, or
no,
have you decided not to?
It won't be tracked. Although I say that, I'm lying to you, because at Le Mans this year, for the Aston Martin Festival race, which takes place at 10:15 on the day of the main race, this car will lead the parade lap for the Aston Martin Festival race.
So on track, but not competitively. It's too rare to do that.
Indeed.
I guess most of the cars so far, the other 9, will have gone into private museums.
Private ownership, private museums. There are 1 or 2 that you'll see at special events, but because I'm ex-military, the decision that myself and my partner made was that it was going to come to events like this, keep the profile of the RAF Benevolent Fund, hopefully raise some money, but raise awareness if nothing else.
Well, thank you. That's an admirable aim. Well, I started by saying you're a very lucky man. You certainly are. Enjoy it for as many years as you can.
Don't worry,
Thank you
I
very
will do.
much.
Thank you, Graham. It's
Thank
very
you.
kind of you.